the developers. Now, some people get a bit confused with this word developers and think we're just talking about software engineers. I like to look at them as the doers. Anybody who is doing work on the product is a developer. So it's not just about software engineers. So if you are a business analyst, you are a developer, you're a doer, you're doing work. If you are a user experience professional and you're on the Scrum team, you are a developer. If you're a testing professional or quality assurance, you're a doer, you do work, you are called a developer. And finally, of course, if you're a software engineer, you are a developer. So we don't use the titles. We try in Scrum not to use these titles because we want everyone to have a sense of team and that I bring my whole self to this team and not just my role. So we don't use these titles in Scrum. We just use the word developers. Collectively, we are known as the developers. The developers' primary job, their primary job and purpose is this. It is to create the product increment. So to create the increment during the sprint. And no one tells them how to do that. They are self-managing. So they own the how we do the work, how we implement the solution lives with the developers. The product owner's job is to say, what should we work on next from the backlog perspective, but it's the developer's job to work out how we do that. Now, as part of creating the increment, there's a few things they get involved in. They get involved in planning, a lot of the planning workshops. We like the developers to be close to what's coming next and to understand things from a business perspective. Secondly, they spend time refining the backlog. So backlog refinement. And no more than 10% of their time is spent planning ahead for future sprints. They're estimating work, they're prioritizing work with the product owner, and they're also breaking work down into smaller pieces. So refining the backlog is a big part of the job. Most of their time, however, most of the time is actually doing development, and they're going to be developing or building the product. So develop or build is a key part of the work that they're doing as a team. Let's look at a couple of characteristics of the developers. First of all, we know that they are self-managing. They are self-managing. Now, self-managing, as the name might suggest, means there's no manager. They're self-managing. And they need to work together to collectively own the outcomes of the team. The second characteristic is that they are cross-functional. Cross-functional. And cross-functional means that they have all of the skills needed to get the job done. It's important that we try and implement this as best as we can in big organizations. It can be difficult to have all the skills you need within the developers, and you do need sometimes to wait for other people. But if you can get as many of the skills you need in the team, you are going to reduce what slows us down a lot, which is waiting for other people to do work. So cross-functional. The developers estimate. The developers do estimation, and they estimate the effort. How difficult is work? It's the job of the people doing the work to provide the estimates of the work. So estimation is an important part of the role. The final thing that I want to call out for the developers is that they are responsible for quality. So they are responsible for the quality of what we are building. And one of the ways that we can keep quality high is to spend time learning about automation. How can we automate to increase quality and reduce risk? We call this engineering practices. So spending time on engineering practices is going to help us with quality. That's our developers. Thank you.